Little Kenny G going here. Christmas music. Oh. I love some good old Christmas music. Man, nothing like good old Christmas music. Good morning. Hope everybody having a good day and good holiday season so far. Got one left before the new year roll around. What'll be 2018 before you know it. But we're going to start this morning talking about a subject. This is a request that was given to me from someone, and it's on the subject of what do you do when people lie on you? How do you deal with people who lie on you? That's a tough one there. That is a tough one. And the reason why it's so tough is because we are people of emotions. We're people of emotions. And when someone does something to us, and it seems like they're intentionally trying to harm us, trying to destroy us, our emotions kick in. And we immediately... good morning, Sister Betty. We immediately put up our defenses. We immediately go on the offense. Sometimes, if we're not careful. But if you've never been in a situation to where someone has lied on you, then it's difficult to understand the impact that it has upon the person who has been lied on. And all it takes is a lie. All it takes is one false statement to ruin a person's reputation, to ruin a person's life. And that's what the evil do. That's what evil people do. You cannot expect any more from evil people than what they are currently doing. But I want to look at a few different things when it comes to this subject of how do you deal with people who lie on you. First of all, you got to understand that a person who lies on you is simply following the attributes of Satan. It's not anything godly about someone lying. The first thing we need to wrap our mind around is understanding that people who lie on us or lie on you, the lifestyle that they have committed themselves to is a lifestyle of ungodliness, a lifestyle of doing evil, because that's what lying is evil. In John chapter 8, verse 44 and 45, Jesus was talking to the Pharisees and he was accusing them of the very same thing, lying. In verse number 44 of John 8, he said, "You are of your father the devil, and the desires of your father you want to do. He was a murderer from the beginning and did not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him." When he speaks a lie, he speaks from his own resources, for he is a liar and the father of it. When people lie, try to intentionally destroy a person's life, destroy a person's reputation, Jesus says they are just simply following the pattern of their father, Satan. Okay, people like that are labeled as fools. Solomon has a lot of discussion about people who bear false witness and people who lie on others. In Proverbs chapter 10, verse 18 and verse number 23, we find these words: "Whoever hides hatred has lying lips, and whoever spreads slander is a fool. Verse number 23 says, to do evil is like a sport to a fool, but a man of understanding has wisdom. To do evil is like a sport to a fool. So the first thing you must do when it comes to how to deal with people who lie on you, you've got to understand that for them, it's a sport. For them, it's their lifestyle. For them, it is what they do. Okay? You can't expect anything more from them. So don't look for it. As a matter of fact, it shouldn't even hurt you that they are the ones who did it. Now, it may hurt you that what was done, but it should never hurt you that who did it was the one that did it, that you're surprised about it. Yeah, there may be times that stuff happens with people that we don't expect something out of, but a lot of times people who lie on someone, you got a pretty good sense of their character way before all of this happened. Okay, so understand who it is you're dealing with. First of all, you're dealing with a fool. You're dealing with someone who doesn't look at that stuff as being important. It doesn't matter to them. They take it lightly. It's a sport. And so they throw lies around as if they're playing a sport, not caring anything about the consequences of what they're saying. That's the first thing you have to realize. Okay. Second thing you have to do is you cannot repay evil for what they have done to you. Okay. We got to be very, very careful, because it's easy to move into the vengeance state. It's easy to tap into the vengeance emotions, and we've got to stay away from the vengeance emotions. We can't repay evil for evil. Paul talks about that in Romans chapter 12. And turn over here and look at these verses. Notice what he says in Romans chapter 12, verse number 17. Repay no one evil for evil. Have regard for good things in the sight of all men. And if it is possible, as much as depends on you, live peaceably with all men. Beloved, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine, I will repay, says the Lord. God says, I will take care of the situation. There's no need for you to try to repay someone back for what they've done to you. It only causes more trouble. God says you get out of the way, you give place to my wrath, and let me deal with those individuals. And that's important for us to do, because if we get in the way of God acting, God cannot act, and he will not act. Okay. And so he continues in this same chapter in verse number 21 saying, do not be overcome with evil, but overcome evil with good. So our response to people who lie on us is this right here. I'm not going to do what you did to me. I'm not going to even be evil toward you because you were evil toward me. Is if I have an opportunity, I'm going to do good things toward you. I'm going to make peace with you. I'm not going to allow the situation that you have put me in by your evil, by your lies, to cause me to lower myself down to where you currently are. I'm going to stay above that. I'm going to overcome evil by doing good. So our response to evil is to do good. Our response to the negative is to be positive. And I know that's a hard thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. Okay? And so it's easy. See, that's what really tests your Christianity and tests whether or not you're trying to live for God. You know, when you're around people who think like you think, behave like you behave, are as kind as you are and gentle as you are and as patient as you are, that doesn't really prove whether or not you're a Christian. That doesn't test you and see where your level of faith is. Only when you are around people who have nothing in common with you, who treat you opposite from the way you treat them, only then will you really be able to see the true level of your faith. Jesus talks about this in Matthew chapter 5 and verse number 43 through 48. Notice some things that he says about the enemy or your enemy. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your enemy, love your neighbor, and hate your enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemy. Now watch what he tells us to do. Bless those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you. Pray for those who spitefully use and persecute you. Jesus says you respond in a good way to people who respond in a bad way toward you. Verse number 45, why? So that you may be sons of your Father which is in heaven. For he makes it sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and he sends rain on the just and the unjust. For if you love those who love you, what reward do you have? Do not even the tax collectors do the same thing? And if you only greet people who are your brethren, then do you even more than the tax collectors? You see, Jesus' point is this right here. It's easy for us to love the lovable. It's easy for us to be kind to those who are kind. But the true test of our Christianity is, can we do it to the people who lie on us? Can we do it to the people who mistreat us? That's where your true character as a Christian comes out. That's when it's the hardest. That's when living the Christian life becomes a reality, because we must respond in a good way toward people who lie on us. It is a hard thing to do, because when someone tries to destroy your life, when someone tries to mess up your reputation, it is hard to get over the fact that they've done that to you, because, you know, what they've said is already past, but yet you're still feeling the repercussions of what happened. Number 3, so number 1, understand who they are. Don't expect anything more than what they've given you. Just know that they're followers of Satan. Number 2, don't repay evil for evil. And number 3, realize that they did the same thing to Jesus. In Matthew chapter 26, verse 57, Matthew 26, verse 57, let me show you something. It says that those who laid hands on Jesus led him away to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Peter followed him at a distance to the high priest's courtyard. He went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests, the elders, and all the council sought, notice, false testimony against Jesus to put him to death. They sought false testimony for Jesus to put him to death. And you know what? They found him. They found people who were willing to lie just to have Jesus killed. And you know what? Jesus was not the only one. In Acts chapter 6, Stephen was preaching to a group of people, and they did not like what he said. And in Acts chapter 6, in verse number 13, it says, they set up false witnesses against him. They set up false witnesses against him. People are evil. People will do and say anything to try to destroy people who they believe are their enemy, destroy people who they don't like or have anything for, or to get back at someone. You can't do that, because you live on a different plane. You live on a different level than those people. They did it to Jesus. Don't expect anybody to treat you any different than they treated Jesus. If they treated Jesus bad and they lied on Jesus, then certainly we should expect people to lie on us. Here's the final point, and to me, this is the most important one here. You can't worry about what people think about you after the lie has been told. And here's why. There are 2 groups of people in the world. Number 1, 2 groups of people. I'm going to do 2 different main categories. Category number 1 has to do with the heart. Category number 2 has to do with knowledge. So on this side, there are 2 groups of people. There are people who have good and honest hearts, and there are people who have bad and dishonest hearts. When someone lies on you, people who have good and honest hearts, they're not going to believe hearsay. Yes, it may settle in their mind. They may have questions. And if they really care, they'll seek out to find answers to the question, but they're not going to listen to hearsay. People who have evil and dishonest hearts, they don't care what happens. They will believe it. And no matter what you say, no matter what you do, no matter what type of proof or evidence you show to prove that you're innocent or that whatever was said about you is not true, they don't care, because they love lives. They love things that are destructive to other people's lives. You can't worry about people. Can't worry about people. Because if you worry about people, you will sit around all day long moping because you haven't convinced everybody that what was said about you is not true. On the other side over here, when it comes to knowledge, you have two categories of people. You have people who know you, people who don't know you. If someone lies on you, let me tell you something. The people that know you, they will defend you. The people who know you are not going to pay it any attention. Only the people who don't know you will question the things that are said about you. You can't sit around all day worrying about a lie that has been told on you, because people who know you know you. People with honest hearts will talk to you. The evil people, you shouldn't care about them anyway, because they don't care about the truth. They only care about the destructive methods of Satan and how much joy they get out of seeing people's lives destroyed. Okay. So let's look at a few verses and when it comes to that subject. Proverbs chapter 1 and verse number 22. Proverbs 1 verse 22. All right, here we go. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? For scorners, can't even talk this morning. Scorners delight in their scornings, and fools hate knowledge. Listen to this very carefully. Scorners, people who mock, people who delight in evil. The Bible, Solomon says, these people delight in it. They delight in that. They get joy from it. And he says, fools hate knowledge. So even if someone lies on you and you have the information to show it was a lie, fools don't care. Fools don't care. Don't worry about it. Fools don't care. You're dealing with fools. Okay? Proverbs chapter 9, verse 6 through verse number 8 says this right here. Forsake foolishness and live, and go in the way of understanding. He who corrects a scoffer gets shame for himself, and he who rebukes a wicked man only harms himself. Do not correct a scoffer, lest he hate you. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love you. Give instruction to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a just man, and he will increase in knowledge. Two things going on here with two different people. A wicked person and a wise person. And Solomon says, if you spend your day trying to correct a scoffer, an evil person, you're going to do more harm than good, because they don't want to listen. The only people that listen are the wise. They are the people who will sit there and listen to what you got to say and take in the instruction. And in this world, when you have someone who lies on you, you have people out there who are scoffers and fools, and people out there who are honest and wise. Only the honest and wise are going to listen. They're the only ones you should be worried about. Proverbs chapter 14, verse number 15 says this right here. Got this new Bible, my pages sticking together. It's hard to turn the pages. Notice Proverbs 14:15. The simple believes every word, but the prudent considers well his steps. The simple-minded person believes every word, but the prudent considers well his steps. To simple-minded people, the lie that was told on you is the truth. You can't worry about simple-minded people. You got to keep moving. There will always be simple-minded people in the world who believe any and everything. Okay? And then Proverbs 18 and verse number 2 says this right here. A fool has no delight in understanding, but in expressing his own heart. That's why it's difficult when someone lies on you to try to convince people that it was a lie, because you may be dealing with fools, and fools have no interest in understanding the facts. Fools have no interest in understanding the truth. They don't care about it. so you can't spend your days worrying about foods. Okay? And then I'm going to close it out with the last point. First point is know who you are. Know who they are. Know who you're dealing with. Followers of Satan. Number 2, don't repay evil for evil. Number 3, remember they did it to Jesus. Number 4, there are going to be 2 types of people. Honest people and dishonest people. You can't worry about the dishonest people. The only people who you give understanding to are the honest people. And then number 5, lastly, God is going to handle everything eventually. In Proverbs chapter 19 and verse number 5, it says this right here. A false witness will not go unpunished. A false witness will not go unpunished. And he who speaks lies will not escape. You don't have to do a thing. You don't have to worry about a thing, because a person who lies on you will not escape. God will deal with them. He may not deal with them right now, next week, next month, next year, but God will deal with them. You have nothing to worry about. Okay? And it's important that you understand it. God hates people who lie. In Proverbs chapter 6, be the last verse we look at, in verse number 16, it says, these 6 things the Lord hates. Yes, 7 and are an abomination to him. Notice what God hates. A proud look, a lying tongue. A lying tongue. Hands that shed innocent blood, heart that devises wicked plans, feet that are swift to run and to do evil, a false witness who speaks lies. God hates it. God hates it. So in the moment and in the midst of your character, your reputation, your life being destroyed and torn down by a lie, always remember that God is standing right beside you, hating every ounce of it. And when you mess with God's people, or when you mess with anybody unjustly, God doesn't take kindly to that. Keep your head high, move on with your life, and live in such a way as to prove anything said about you is wrong. God bless you. Y'all have a great day. May be back in the morning. I'm not sure yet. But if I'm not back in the morning, we'll, Lord willing, be back next Tuesday with another video. This is a temporary Facebook page. If you know anybody that actually follows the videos, not anybody that just wants to be friends, but anybody who's following the videos while I'm off of my regular personal account, then send them a request or suggest them so they can at least get to see the videos until I log back in my personal account, which may be in a couple of weeks, or maybe toward the end of the year. I don't know. It just depends. But anyway, God bless y'all. Pray for my family as I pray for yours, and roll tide. Y'all have a good day.